Hi, welcome to Sociological Lens. I am Dr. Dilsora Fozilova, and today's video lecture we are going to talk about sociology of risk-taking. So what is sociology of risk-taking? Risk-taking is a fundamental part of human behavior, intricately tied to both psychological and broader social dynamics. The sociology of risk-taking explores why individuals voluntarily engage in activities that expose them to danger, uncertainty, or loss. This field moves beyond simple explanations of irrationality or recklessness to uncover the deeper social and cultural forces at play. It examines how risk-taking reflects both personal identity or identity formation and larger societal values. Central to this discussion is Stephen Lang's concept of age work, which is a term that describes the psychological and emotional experiences of individuals who voluntarily place themselves at the edge of control, flirting with chaos and potential disaster. Lang's age work challenges traditional understandings of risk by positioning positioning it as a deliberate and meaningful activity rather than a mere lapse of judgment. Age work highlights the appeal of risk taking as pursuit of freedom, self realization, and a transcendence of societal constraints. Complementing age work are the concepts of risk logic and fear logic, which I'll be discussing in when I play my PowerPoint. And also in this lecture, we will unpack the core ideas examining how voluntarily risk-taking serves as a lens by understanding human agency, societal structures, and the allure of the extreme. By engaging with Lang's work and other sociological perspectives, we will delve into the paradox of risk, how it embodies both individual autonomy and cultural constraints. Let's get into it and have that discussion. So, what is the sociology of risk taking? The sociology of risk taking is a field of study within sociology that focuses on understanding how individuals and groups engage in behaviors or decisions that involve a certain degree of risk, and how these actions are shaped by social, cultural, economic, and political factors. Rather than viewing risk solely from an individual perspective as a personal choice or psychological factor, the sociology of risk-taking emphasizes the social structures and contexts that influence decision to take this kind of risk. Key aspects of the sociology of risk-taking, we can highlight some of the, for example, social construction of risk. Risks are not always objective facts. They are socially constructed. What is considered as risky or risky behavior can vary across cultures, societies, and time periods. For example, behaviors like smoking or extreme sports or drug use may be viewed as risky in one culture but normalized in another. Also, risk taking is often influenced by group dynamics, peer pressure, cultural norms, and societal expectations. Certain groups may be more inclined to take risks due to social factors such as status, identity, and group cohesion. For instance, the adults may take more risk, like the young adults may take more risk due to peer pressure or a desire to form their identity. Also, there is an economic and political context to it. Economic status, social class, and political power can all influence how risks are perceived and taken. For example, individuals from low income backgrounds might take financial risks out of necessity, while those from wealthier backgrounds might take risks to or taking for thrill or status. And also, when we talk about sociology of risk taking, we have to think about rationality and emotion. Sociologists examine whether people take risks based on calculated decisions, for example, rationality, or emotional impulses. For example, people might take risk because they believe the potential rewards outweigh the danger, or they may engage in risky behavior for emotional reasons such as excitement, escape, or identity building. Social institutions such as the media, government, or the education system can shape how risk is perceived and managed. For example, media portrayals of extreme sports or crime can romanticize risk taking, influencing how individuals approach risky behavior. Risk as a social contract is very important. The perception of what constitutes a risky activity often depends on the social context. What may be considered risky behavior in one culture or one society or one place might be seen as normal part of life in another one. For example, the legal risks associated with drug use in some countries, as I mentioned already, may be different dramatically from the social attitudes and legal status in others. Overall, the sociology of risk taking seeks to understand not just the individual act of taking risks, but the broader societal and cultural forces that shape, encourage, or discourage risk related behavior. It offers insights into how risk taking reflects and reinforces power relations or power structures, social norms, and values in society. Now, I brought up a few things here. For example, we can talk about military firefighting, that the risky works, and there is like a criminals who take a lot of risks. And what are the differences between the motivation, legitimacy, structure of risk, and identity and culture? Risk taking in military and firefighting criminal works can be understood through different lenses, this kind of lenses. And let's take a look one at a time. In the military, the source of risk is primarily um, the military comes from direct exposure to combat, as well as operational decisions as high stakes, high stake environments like war zones or training exercises. Soldiers are often motivated by duty, loyalty, national security, and a need to protect others. There is also a strong sense of the honor, the strong sense of pride and honor. Military risk taking is generally viewed as legitimate and even necessary within the concept of national defense and the protection of society. The military structure, with its hierarchy and training, prepares military individual or personnel for risky situations, creating a formalized process of managing risks, which may reduce perceived individual danger. Military culture also highly values bravery, discipline, and self sacrifice, Risk-taking is often part of the soldier's identity, with a strong focus on honor, sacrifice, and national pride. If we compare that to firefighting, firefighting involves the direct risk of exposure to dangerous situations such as fires, explosions, and hazardous materials. Firefighters are motivated by a sense of duty to save lives, protect property, and contribute to the safety of their community. The desire to help others is a significant motivation for firefighting. Firefighting risk taking is widely seen as legitimate, like military, even heroic, because it serves a public good and is carried out by trained professionals under regulated conditions. Risk in firefighting is like military institutionalized through rigorous training, safety protocols, and team-based approaches. However, the job inherently involves significant danger due to the unpredictability nature of fires and all other things involved with that the buildings can fall and all different things, electricity. There is different kinds of dangers involved with firefighting. Firefighting culture emphasizes bravery, just like military, teamwork, and selflessness. Risk taking is seen as an accepted part of the profession, integral to the firefighter's sense of identity and protection of life and property. There's few things very similar to the military risk taking and firefighter risk taking, although both of them is about two different kinds of things. Now, if you look at the crime or criminality or criminal world, in the criminal world, the risk comes from law enforcement, intervention, the potential for violence and consequences of illegal actions like imprisonment, injury, or death. Motivations for criminal risk taking vary, but often include financial gain, power, social status, or retaliation. In some cases, criminal activities may be driven by necessity of survival. So, when it comes to legitimacy, risk taking in crime is often considered illegitimate by society because it involves breaking the law. However, criminals may view their actions as legitimate within their own subculture or as a form of resistance against perceived social injustices or inequalities or whatever it may be. In criminal networks, risk is often managed through informal structures such as trust among peers, secrecy, and the use of violence or intimidation. The more organized the crime, the more structured the risk management can be. Criminal identity is often shaped by subcultural values such as defiance of authority, pride and toughness, and a desire for status. Risk taking becomes a means of asserting dominance or achieving respect within the criminal community. In, in all these three worlds, risk taking is influenced by a complex mix of factors. In the military and firefighting, risk is generally seen as legitimate and is heavily institutionalized with strong cultural expectations of bravery and self sacrifice. In contrast, in the criminal world, risk taking is often blamed or framed as illegitimate by society, but may be viewed as necessary or even justified within the criminal subculture itself. Each context shapes how individuals approach risk influenced by identity, culture, motivation, and the structures within which they operate. So this is I actually had a different slide for military risk taking. You can see the nature of risks, like soldiers face life-threatening situations such as combat, exposure to hostile environments or missions. Risks are systematic as they are embedded in the organizational structure and expectations of military service. And there is the purpose. They have, soldiers often engage in risk taking out of loyalty to their unit, sense of duty, and the overarching mission. There is also group solidarity, peer pressure, and it can encourage soldiers to take risks, as failure to do so might be perceived as a betrayal or cowardice. Training and preparation, of course, they are trained and prepared for this kind of risks, which is also reduces the danger of this kind of risk scenarios. Also, heroism and the identity formation is part of motivations in this kind of risk taking. So, what is risk logic? Risk logic refers to the reasoning, decision-making processes, and frameworks individuals or institutions use when they assessing, managing, or responding to risk. It involves the ways in which risk is perceived, calculated, and acted upon, influencing behavior and actions in various contexts. Risk logic is often shaped by a combination of factors, including societal norms, personal values, organizational protocols, and external circumstances. A key element of risk logic is, for example, it can be perception of risk, how individuals or groups perceive the likelihood of or severity of potential negative outcomes. This can vary depending on past experiences, cultural influences, and cognitive biases. Also, there is a risk assessment, the process of evaluating the potential hazard or danger associated with a particular action or decision. This often includes like weighing the probability of a negative event and its potential consequences. Risk management is also very important part of risk logic. The strategies and actions taken to minimize or control risk. This could include implementing safety protocols, adopting preventive measures, or accepting the risk as a necessary part of achieving a goal. Risk tolerance is part of it. Right here, risk tolerance, the degree to which individuals or organizations are willing to accept or expose themselves to risk. High risk tolerance may lead to taking bold actions, while low risk tolerance could result in more conservative or cautious behavior. The influence of societal norms like organizational culture and external pressures in shaping how risk is approached and understood. For example, different cultures or professional fields may have varying attitudes towards risk. How risk is communicated within a group of or society, influencing how individuals react to it. Clear communication of risk can help people to inform decisions, while ambiguous or misleading information can lead to misunderstanding or risky behavior. There are some examples to risk logic. Risk logic in finance, for example, um, often revolves around assessing the risk-reward trade-off. Investors might weigh the potential return on an investment against the likelihood of losing money. High risk investments may offer greater rewards but come with a higher probability of loss. When it comes to public health, risk logic can influence behaviors like vaccination uptake. People may assess the risk of getting vaccinated versus the risk or risk of contracting diseases, factoring in things like personal health, societal norms, in media influences. And another example can be military context. Risk logic is crucial to operating or operational planning. The logic here often involves strategic decisions about when to take calculated risks to achieve a mission's objectives, balancing mission success with the safety of personnel. Um, Overall, risk logic is about how we understand, how we calculate, and uh, decide to navigate the risk inherent in various aspects of life. It draws from experience, knowledge, and societal influences and personal values. Fear logic, on the other hand, refers to the reasoning and decision making processes shaped by fear, particularly in how individuals or societies perceive, respond to, and manage potential threats. It influences behavior, attitudes, and actions when faced with uncertainty or perceived danger. Fear logic often involves exaggerated or distorted perceptions of risk, where fear may drive actions that are disproportionately to the actual level of danger. There are so many different elements of fear logic, and we have learned about fear a lot. We know that perception of threat is one of the biggest things, that fear logic starts with how a threat or danger is perceived. Often, fear leads people to overestimate the severity or likelihood of risk. Even when the actual risk may be relatively low, we see it as more than what's out there. For example, media portrayal of crime may exaggerate the prevalence of violent acts, leading to heightened sense of danger in society. Emotional response Emotional response is a part of fear logic, of course. Fear is actually emotionally driven. In contrast to rational risk assessment, which weighs probabilities and consequences, fear logic is often more reactionary or instinctual. It is driven by heightened emotions such as anxiety, panic, or dread, which can cloud objective judgment. Overreaction is also a big part of it. Fear often leads to overreacting to risks. In many cases, individuals or groups may avoid activities or situations that they perceive as dangerous, even if the actual risk is minimal. I know someone always says that flying in the plane to go somewhere, for example, overseas and whatever, for long flights, he says this is very dangerous. Like, how you can take that much risk, right? Although every day we see that millions of people they are taking planes to move from one part of the world to another part of the world. And social and cultural influence, fear logic is often influenced by societal, cultural, or media narratives. For example, the way in which the media reports on issues like terrorism, crime, or pandemics can shape public perceptions, creating a sense of fear that affects social behavior. Fear can be socially constructed, spreading within communities or cultures through shared beliefs and experiences. Fear logic often involves a desire to regain a sense of control or safety in the face of perceived danger. People or institutions may act to eliminate or minimize threats, sometimes even through the extreme or drastic measures. Policies or actions driven by fear logic might prioritize security over freedom or risk taking, such as implementing restrictive laws or surveillance policies. So there are so many examples to fear logic, and one of them can be crime and safety. Media coverage of violent crime can evoke fear logic even in areas with relatively low crime rates. This may lead to an overestimate of risk of victimization, resulting in increased surveillance, curfews, or restrictive policies. For example, despite lower actual crime rates, fear of crime can lead to more aggressive policing or criminalization of certain behaviors. There are certain consequences of fear logic. Can be distorted risk perception. Fear logic can result in a miscalculation of actual risks, leading to irrational behaviors. For example, fearing flying more than driving, even though statistically flying is far safer than driving. There are so many accidents and people losing their lives when they are driving, and still people are afraid of flying more than driving. Doesn't make sense. Policy and governance. Fear logic often shapes laws, policies, and practices, especially in times of crisis. It can lead to increased surveillance and censorship or authoritarian practices under the guise of ensuring public safety. And social polarization. Um, Fear logic can contribute to the creation of social divisions, as certain groups may be framed as the source of danger or threat. For example, after 9/11, Muslims became a source of danger or a threat for North America, or more in the USA. Also, immigrant communities may be stereotyped as security risks during times of heightened fear over terrorism, even when the majority are law abiding. That, the Trump used that kind of rhetoric for his presidential campaign. Overall, fear logic is about how the emotional and cognitive experience of fear influences how we understand and react to risk. It can lead to protective actions, but also to exaggerated responses that may not align with the actual threat level. That this type of logic has significant implications for individual behaviors and social dynamics and public policy. There are some theories, and there's a risk as performance that talks about in combat risk taking can be as a performance then affirm competence and dedication, fostering stats within the unit. And there is age work by Ling. That's what we're going to talk about in the rest of the lecture, actually. Military operations, that's about military operations, represent controlled danger. Soldiers use training and expertise to manage risks at the age survival. Let's talk about Ling's work here. Stephen Ling's concept of age work refers to the idea of engaging in activities that involve a deliberate balance between risk and control, often in high-risk situations. It's the experience of pushing the boundaries of safety and comfort to experience the thrill of danger and the potential for personal achievement. Ling suggests that individuals who engage in age work are seeking a sense of mastery over danger and risk, where they're constantly testing their limits. These activities often include extreme sports, criminal behavior, or other forms of risky behavior that provide a sense of excitement and challenge. The goal is not necessarily to engage in reckless behavior, but rather to control and navigate risks in a way that creates personal meaning and excitement. So what is age work? According to Ling, age work is a way of confronting existential anxieties and finding a sense of identity or purpose through risk taking. It is a form of self expression where individuals actively shape their own identities and social roles by engaging with the world in a way or in ways that challenge conventional norms. Ling argues that engaging in age work allows individuals to experience the age of life, where the boundaries between control and chaos, safety and danger are constantly in flux. This process becomes a key aspect of how people relate to their own sense of self, society, and the risks inherent in living. There are psychological and social motivations behind age work. According to Ling, according to Ling's concept of age work, it addresses the psychological and social motivations behind engaging in risky activities. Psychological motivations from when we think from a psychological perspective, age work satisfies a fundamental human need for excitement and stimulation. Engaging in risky behaviors can trigger a surge of adrenaline, which provides a rush or thrill that many find deeply satisfying. This sensation is often linked to the brain's reward system, where activities that invoke risk can activate the release of dopamine and neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. The thrill of taking risk can be seen as a way to escape monotony, to overcome boredom, for example, or to feel alive. It can also be a means of managing anxiety or existential fears as people or individuals confront their own morality and the limits of their control over the world around them. In this way, age work can be seen as a coping mechanism for dealing with psychological issues or personal insecurities. And how about social motivations? Socially, age work is often tied to the desire for social recognition, status, and identity. By engaging in risky activities, individuals can assert their autonomy, challenge their norms, and define themselves in a position to mainstream behaviors. For example, participating in extreme sports or criminal activities might signal to peers a sense of courage, rebellion, or nonconformity. This behavior can also create um, a sense of camaraderie, and bonding with others who share similar tests for danger and excitement. In a social context, age work can serve as a way to differentiate oneself within a group, establish a sense of group identity, or and seek other validation from others. It becomes a way of navigate the expectations of society, assert individuality, and find a unique niche within a larger social framework. Through both psychological and social motivations, age work becomes a dynamic and multifaceted phenomena, blending the pursuit of personal thrill with the need for social construction and identity formation. And the role of control is, according to Ling, is very important. The concept of age work in Ling's work plays a central role, the control plays central role in motivating individuals to engage in risky activities. Ling argues that participants in age work are not simply seeking thrill or excitement for its own sake, rather, they are actively negotiating and managing the balance between risk and control. The key idea here is that people are attracted to risky situations not because they want to lose control, but because they want to test or maintain control under extreme conditions. Also, control plays a role as a source of empowerment. For those engaging in age work, the feeling of control, especially in situations that push personal limits, can provide a powerful sense of empowerment. In risky activities like extreme sports or criminal acts, individuals are often keenly aware of the dangers involved, but are also highly focused on managing those risks. This sense of control in the face of danger is often intoxicating, as it affirms an individual's belief in their own skill, competence, and ability to navigate the unpredictable. For example, a rock climber, you can see on the picture here, on a steep, treacherous cliff may feel fear, but also the thrill of controlling their body and movements to overcome the challenge. The risk becomes meaningful only because they are actively controlling the process of engagement with it. The control then becomes like a social norm. On a social level, engaging in age work also allows individuals to assert control over societal expectations and norms. Risky behaviors such as participating in extreme sports or criminal activities can act as a form of resistance to the conventional or safe ways of living, where control is seen as an idea. By challenging these norms, individuals redefine control, shifting from the societal demand for conformity to a personal mastery over risk. In this sense, control in age work can be seen as both personal experience and social statement, where individuals assert autonomy not just over physical challenges, but also over social structures and expectations. Overall control is integrated to age work because it allows individuals to experience and um, um, the explore the um, ex- the feeling is of risk while maintaining a sense of personal agency, competence, or social defiance. The pursuit of control in risky environments brings both personal satisfaction and social significance and is a major motivator for engaging in age work. According to Ling, the social context and subcultures play a significant role in shaping the practice and meaning of age work or the engagement in risky behavior. Ling argues that age work does not occur in a vacuum, rather, it is deeply embedded within specific social settings and subcultures that value risk taking as a form of identity and self expression. These social contexts influence the motivation behind risk taking and provide a framework for understanding why certain individuals or groups are more likely to engage in age work. Age work is shaped by the larger social environment in which individuals operate. The acceptance or rejection of risk taking behavior is often influenced by social norms, values, and expectations. For example, in modern risk averse societies, people who engage in extreme activities such as extreme sports or criminal acts may be seen as outliers or rebels. However, in certain social contexts, risk taking may be encouraged or even valorized. In contexts like the military, as we talked earlier, firefighting, or criminal world, age work is often institutionalized and linked to groups' collective identity. The broader cultural attitude towards risk, whether it's seen as foolish or heroic, can affect how people within these subcultures perceive and justify their engagement in risky behavior. Subcultures, according to Ling, provide an alternative set of norms and values that make age work meaningful. These subcultures, such as those surrounding extreme sports, organized crime, or countercultural movements, offer a space where individuals can embrace risk as a form of social identity. In these subcultures, engaging in age work is often a way of asserting one's membership and earning respect or stats among peers. For instance, in the criminal subculture, taking risks might be seen as an essential aspect of gaining credibility and power, while in extreme sports subcultures, the pursuit of risk is often tied to individual achievement and sense of freedom. Within these subcultures, age work is not just about personal threat or thrill or challenge. It also signifies belonging to a community that shares similar values and definitions of what constitutes worthy risk. So, Ling's concept of age work emphasized that risk-taking behaviors are socially constructed and deeply influenced by subcultural values and the broader social contexts. So also, Ling emphasizes the voluntary nature of risk-taking as a central aspect of age work. According to Ling, excuse me, engaging in risky behavior is a conscious choice, and it is this voluntary decision that distinguishes age work from situations where individuals are forced or coerced into dangerous actions. This voluntary aspect highlights that risk takers actively seek out danger and uncertainty as a means to experience control, excitement, and challenge. They are not simply reacting to external circumstances, but are intentionally pursuing risk for personal satisfaction or fulfillment. The voluntary nature of risk taking is particularly important because it reflects the individual's desire for autonomy and control. An author argues, the Ling argues, that risk takers are fully aware of the dangers they face and yet choose to engage in this kind of behavior because of the unique psychological reward they offer. These rewards might include, as we mentioned earlier, thrill, adrenaline rush, or a sense of personal achievement. So, cultural and so, the cultural and societal implications of age work is far-reaching, but there is a thrill from thrill and identity formation. Risk-taking behaviors are tied to sense of identity, of course. The activities provide individuals with a way to challenge their own limits, test personal boundaries, and reaffirm their self-concept. Engaging in age work allows participation to construct an identity that is tied to courage, mastery, and resilience in the face of danger. In some sense, that from the young age, like you can see in this picture here, we encourage risk taking. We just encourage kids to do the things they're afraid of, and we try to assure them that it is okay to take this risk. So by doing so, we kind of like we construct that taking risks is a normal part of the human life. So I wanted to talk about the implications. There are the cultural and societal implications of age work are far-reaching, as it touches on the intersections of personal identity, social norms, and broader cultural values. Age work as a form of voluntary risk-taking often challenges societal expectations about safety, conformity, and the acceptable boundaries of behavior. It can lead to the redefinition of what is considered socially acceptable or admirable in various subcultures and in society at large. By engaging in risky activities, individuals are not only testing personal limit, but also challenging social norms, potential reintegrating concepts of courage, masculinity, or rebellion. So culturally, age work can be seen as a way of asserting individual autonomy and resistance to societal structures that promote security and stability. In societies that value control and safety, age work can serve as a form of social resistance, pushing against the constraints of routine lives, like it's just too boring, too easy. For instance, extreme sports or risky behaviors can become expression of freedom or individualism, where participants celebrate their ability to control and navigate uncertainty. So the next thing I want to mention here is Ling conceptualizes age work as a response to modernity, offering insight into how individuals navigate the pressures and structures of contemporary life. Modernity, characterized by its own emphasis on rationality, control, and predictability, often imposes a highly structured or regulated existence. This can lead to feeling of alienation, It can lead to a feeling of loss of autonomy as people are confined by the routines of work, social expectations, and institutionalized systems. Age work emerges as a way of individuals to reclaim a sense of agency and also authenticity, I can talk today, by engaging in activities that defy the constraints of modern life. At its core, age work provides a counterbalance to the dehumanizing aspects of modernity. By participating in high risk activities, individuals can experience a heightened sense of freedom, self determination, and mastery. This moment stand in stark contrast to the controlled environments of workplace, which we talk about the Karl Marx's concept of alienation, right? We are just kind of alienated from our world. These moments stand with those kind of environments, bureaucracies, and other social institutions. The voluntary embrace of danger and uncertainty in age work becomes a symbolic rejection of the safety and predictability the modern system prioritize, offering instead a direct kind of connection to life. In this sense, age work is not just about personal thrill, but also about cultural critique. It reflects a longing for meaning and individuality in an era dominated by efficiency and routine, like capitalism. For example, extreme sports, underground subcultures, or even criminal acts of age work can be understood as expressions of resistance to a world that prioritizes risk management and denies opportunities for genuine self expression. Age work, therefore, serves as both personal and collective response to the alienating forces of modernity, revealing that human desire to reconnect with primal experiences of control, danger, and freedom. So, if we briefly summarize age work, the age work concept developed by Stephen Lang refers to voluntary high risk activities where individuals push themselves to the boundaries of danger and control. These activities, such as extreme sports, criminal behaviors, or criminal acts, or adrenaline driven pursuits, are characterized by a delicate balance between life and death, success and failure, and chaos and mastery. Ling argues that age work is a response to the constraints of modernity, where individuals seek freedom, autonomy, authenticity in a world dominated by predictability and control. It offers a way to escape feeling of alienation and monotony by providing intense, immersive experiences that reaffirm self-identity and personal agency. So age work also has a broader cultural and societal implications, challenging the norms of risk aversion and safety in contemporary life. It reflects deeper psychological motivations such as desire for mastery and connection to primal instinct, as well as social contexts, including the influence of subcultures that celebrate risk taking. Ultimately, age work serves as both an individual pursuit and a critic of modern societal structures. So, this is our lecture for today, and thank you for listening. I'll see you or talk to you in our next classes. Bye.